How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. How is
Right
your
on.
Monday, Tuesday going?
Not too bad so far. Can't complain. How about
You at
you?
the office today?
Later on from
Cool.
3 to 6.
That's nice, huh?
It is. Yep.
What do you do with the morning?
Well, it kind of depends. You used to spend quite a bit of time like going out and getting to meet new people, but that kind of hasn't happened for a while. So
Yeah,
every once in a while I get to communicate with people through email and they'll come in and meet early
yeah.
and stuff like that. But just kind of been working on things like, well, I've been spending some time on goals and stuff like that still, even though like we've already done like a work meeting for that stuff. I still think of little things that I want to work on and add to it. And
How many goals are you writing?
well, we what do we do, like the four, like the fitness, personal, professional, and fun.
Yeah, but I mean like in each category. Like, so fitness, how many goals do you have?
I have like 5 or 6 in that one, but like I really enjoy working out, so I'm always like thinking of something different.
You want me to offer a word of advice? Is if you keep it below 3 goals,
Okay.
you're way more. I can't remember the exact statistic. I looked at this years ago because I mean, not you, I used to do it too. You kind of just vomit at the brain on paper and you
Yep.
keep on thinking these cool things, but you never really get them maybe done.
Yeah.
Right. So you get to the end of the year and you're like, man, I had 7 goals and maybe I got 1 done. So just try to condense them down, man, to make it really like clarity, like we talked about last time, just make it super crystal clear. Like, hey, this is that one major thing I want to get accomplished this year based on that thing, and then make that happen. And then you just keep on rolling every year,
Okay.
I used to have that same problem, man. I don't know why. We just kind of get caught up in that game, right?
Yeah, you just like keep thinking of different things that you want to do instead of just like nailing down several different specific things.
Well, it kind of keeps us from having to commit to one thing, which is not ideal,
Yeah.
But at least you're writing them. That's half the battle. What's up, guys? Everyone's working from home today. I love it. Dr. Josh, did you work out this morning?
I did not. I should have. I was up at 4 o'clock with my son trying to put him down till 5. Should have just stayed up.
Is it a newborn?
Yeah, he's 8 months old, but he's got his own sleeping schedule that we don't get to control all the time.
Isn't that like usually the sleep regression kind of age too?
Yeah. I mean, he goes through spurts where he'll sleep for, 4 to 5 hours and then he'll sleep for 2 hours and then he's up.
Yeah. That's one of the main reasons I haven't pushed to have another one like right now. I don't. That first 3 months was hell, man. I'll never forget that first 3 months. It was terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, my first 6 months with him were tough. We were up every 90 minutes with him.
Oh, geez.
We'd be up 45 to an hour with him, just trying to get him down.
Yeah.
So you're running on 3 to 4 hours of sleep for 6 months. Tough.
It's very tough. Thank God that caffeine was created, right? Or found.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, couldn't have enough of it.
Well, yeah, it's good in bags. It burns the adrenals out, but it gets you through right now, right?
Right.
Let's give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll get everybody on here. Good morning, Dr. Chris.
Top of the morning, Dino.
How are you? Good to have you, man.
It's good to be back.
We were just kind of talking through the week and what's been good and all that kind of fun stuff. I kind of know you a little bit better, so I kind of know what's going on in your life a little bit more. But if you want to share with the group anything good.
Let's see. Well, it's always good. Blessed during this Christmas season, so I'm happy for that. Overall, it's a little downturn as far as numbers go, but I was confident they'd come back up. And like I was telling Eddie yesterday, I said, hey, at morning huddle, I said, I need to pick up 6 this morning. And guess how many I picked up? And he goes, 6. I go, yep. He said, just put it out there.
Manifest it, man.
So there's a couple things.
The people that are meant to be there show up, and the ones that aren't don't. We can't lose sleep over it, right?
That's true.
I mean, hopefully they stick to their care plan and get better, but we can't do it for everybody. Let's give it I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes. So Dr. J, I don't know if you guys know, I know some of you guys know, he had a surgery on last week, Thursday or Friday, one of the two. And he's not going to be joining us. Anybody that's had a pretty serious surgery understands how those first few days go, and it's not super awesome for sleep, as Dr. Josh and I were talking about earlier. So he's going through a little bit of pain. So if anybody can send him a text message or an email and just kind of lift him up a little bit, and you could use that right now.
All right, we'll
do.
do.
Pray, just put him on your prayer list to pray for him. You don't necessarily have to reach out for him, but he's got it's a pretty, I saw his post x-ray pictures, and oh my God, it's barbaric it's crazy. I didn't know that's how they did those things, and it is pretty aggressive.
Is it a full hip replacement?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My father-in-law's got.
I forgot how many inches, but it's almost half of his femur. So they drilled all of it out, and now half of his femur has that rod in it that's attaching to the femoral head. The new one, I've never seen anything like it, man.
One of our docs is having his hip replaced Thursday, but
Dr. Tom?
Yeah, but differently.
Yeah, well, he's going posterior. I talked to him not too long ago.
Yeah, he was back in 3 days last time, trying to adjust.
Adjusted?
He was trying to. Yeah, that's what they said, but they made him go home.
Yeah, that's that could go either way there. I heard I've been reading about it a little bit the past couple of days. I saw that the anterior usually is a little quicker recovery, but if he was back in 3 days, that might not go with the data I was reading.
I had a patient that had an anterior done. She was a big runner for a lot of years, and when we looked at her hips, I'm like, ooh, we need to do a consult on this because your hips are destroyed.
Yeah.
And so we got her ready for surgery and everything as much as we could, and then she got that surgery done, and I called her a couple days later, and she's like, it's amazing. She says, I don't have the stabbing pain anymore. I have to start my recovery and everything, but she goes, I'm just amazed. When you don't have bone grinding on bone anymore, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Let me text WJ. I just got a text from 3 people that can't join the room for some reason.
Okay.
And of course, we're going to have technical difficulties whenever I'm doing this. Give me 1 sec. Okay, I'm gonna get WJ on it. So let's just start, and then if he can open the room up, I don't have control over it since I'm not necessarily the host of it, to let the people come in. So we're gonna start what we got, and then as they join, they'll join. Okay. It's actually going to be kind of fun, more intimate. I always did one-on-one coaching. This group coaching over the last couple of months has been interesting. So I like starting off with a quote because and hopefully you guys, if some of this stuff's resonating. There we go. We got another one. There he is. Welcome.
Sorry, my computer decided to run its annual update this morning. So.
Oh, you weren't having problems getting in? There's some people having problems getting in right now. So we're glad you're here. So we're just about to get going. So I'm going to start off with a quote. Hopefully you guys are seeing some value in the quotes and resonating with you guys a bit like they do me. This one really rang out to me because as we've been doing some coaching and consulting one-on-one with people over the last few weeks, I've sensed a very common theme. And we're going to get to that as we go. So the quote's from Abraham Lincoln. I think he is awesome. things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. I love this one, right? Because it's leftovers and we don't want seconds of anything, right? So we got to be out there grinding and making sure that our goals that we're setting right now become reality, not because we're procrastinating. So this is more of a procrastination type quote of my eyes. We all fall victim to it at some point, and we try to course correct, and hopefully we course correct soon because we have the right systems in place to do that. But a lot of times we fall in that rut of, hey, I can do it tomorrow. I can do it next week. And this comes with goals. I've heard it, I don't even know how many times over the last couple of weeks, and it's become a little bit frustrating. People are like, oh, I'm going to wait to do my goals closer till January, or I'm going to wait till the first of the year to do my goals. What are we waiting for? We're missing out on a huge opportunity to get momentum and keep momentum going into the new year if we procrastinate on writing these goals down. We have to have these on paper, and then we're preparing ourselves mentally for what this battle is going to show. I like to call it a battle, but it's fun. I like referencing going to war, basically. I know Dr. Chris can resonate with that because every day is a war battle, not only with this 6 inches between our ears, but with trying to accomplish all the things we have set out for our life and our family. But don't wait to do them. Get closer to getting these done now. I mean, you really, in all reality, last time we had the call, 1st of December, that should have been done in the next few days, because that's how hopefully you're starting to realize how the clarity of getting these goals down is going to make it reality. Did you know, so the people that wait I did a little research because this is really starting to, you know, ever heard the thing, grind my gears? This has really been grinding my gears over the past couple of weeks of coaching people. 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February. Why do you think that is? We're going to make this interactive a little more today since I don't have Dr. J to bounce it off of.
They lose momentum.
Old.
What's that?
I said they lose momentum.
Okay. What else do you guys think?
I would say that they haven't, it's not in their subconscious, right? So they're not driven to do it, and they don't have their why behind what they're doing.
Absolutely
right.
Because they never got the momentum, because they never set, and momentum's a very precious thing, and Dr. Jared knows that. It's very, very precious. It's hard to get, and it's even harder to maintain. But if we don't get, what I was looking for is what Dr. Josh was saying, is get really clear. That's why that clarity tool, did everybody get a chance to dive into that? What was the aha moment in the clarity tool? Was there anything that you did it, maybe you've never done it or never seen it before, and then you said, oh, aha, this is my leverage for the year?
Mine would have been that, you know, I'm rather working to help people than just to make money. And sometimes we get caught up of just like, I need to reach this monetary goal or this, instead of just worrying about, you know, focusing on each patient and what's going on with them.
Right. And whenever you and I first started working together, you were sending emails. We were sending them back and forth, remember? And it's a very common theme. And it's not new, and it's not just you. A lot of people, I used to do this when I first got into practice. And I know people I still coach that have been in practice 10 years that still put the money over the patient. But as Dr. Stuckey always said, right, you take care of the patient according to their needs, and your needs are going to be met. So financially, fulfillment, but what we should be working for instead of a financial gain is that positive, continual positive feedback. So when we walk into the room and we get a high five because, hey, I haven't been sick in 3 years since I've been working with you, doc. Maybe there's something to this chiropractic thing. What kind of reward and payment is it? It doesn't go to your bank account, but how many people are they going to tell that to? And that's going to go to your bank account eventually, right? So that's a good aha moment. What about you, Brittany?
I guess kind of similar, but I've just like kind of changed like my thought process in terms of debt. Like the way you guys were kind of talking about it, that Les said it's like a burden, but like because we have this, like we're able to help all of these people, and like at the end of the day, because of that, like we'll pay it back eventually type thing. But in like changing my thought process in terms of that,
Awesome.
and not just being super like negative, like oh type thing, like what did I do? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's scary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you see that long note coming in, you're like, oh my God, this sucks. And then you realize that it's a blessing. I mean, you were put in this position, you chose this profession for a reason, and now you get to serve on a whole bigger level. I love that one. That's the best one I've heard all week. What about you, Dr. Chris? Let's do a round robin here.
Now, let's see. Yeah, I think just clarity of vision, and I've had a fair amount of coaching over the years, and I just could resonate with talk about always having that plan set up by October for the next year. But I've been even looking into the, where's my clarity for 5 and 10 years down the line, and what do I want to accomplish? So much like, Brittany, part of it was knocking out debt. We've knocked out a huge amount of debt over the last couple of years, and I'm really excited about where that's going, because now I'm seeing more of my paycheck able to take care of my family and do my things. So, but yeah, and then staying resilient and staying on the focus of the money's nice, but like you said, and like Dr. Stuckey said too, is you take care of the patients, and the money will take care of itself. So keeping the focus there and making sure that they get what they need.
If you're I'm a numbers guy. I personally, and this, whenever I first started in practice, there was an office manager that had been there for 20 years. And I like numbers because I feel like that's how I calculate my amount of service.
Mm-hmm.
Because if numbers go up, that means I'm serving bigger, and I'm seeing more people, I'm helping more people, they're getting well, they're referring more people. That's just how my metric goes. I'm not doing it necessarily for my financial gain, but it's a good way to chart what kind of impact you're able to make.
Right.
For me, everybody's got their thing, right? But I really feel like that's why these numbers and getting that clarity and intention behind the clarity will help propel you to these numbers, where the numbers and money doesn't have to be a nasty thing. It doesn't have to be the grimy word when we talk about it. It should be fun. It's like, oh God, I hit a new PR this month for collections. That means I'm serving way bigger. We deserve that. We're worthy and deserving of abundance and wealth, and being able to provide a great Christmas for our families, or be able to buy that new car we want, or be able to pay down that debt. We really deserve to do that, but we self-sabotage. And I think this is where Dr. Corey, we've kind of worked through a little bit, is we're worthy of that stuff. And it's a byproduct of serving what your purpose is. So hopefully as you go through this clarity tool, and hopefully you've done it, and if not, maybe you need to reflect on it again and be like, look, this is my leverage point. This is my clarity. This is my intention. And what I do, I keep it on the screensaver of my phone. So if I ever have, because we're all going to have this mental struggle at some point, if you ever have it, you just open up your phone and you can look at it and you'll be like, oh, that's why I woke up this morning. Oh, that's why I'm in the office serving these patients. Oh, that's why, whatever that is, as far as your goals go, just you want to, and if you put it on Post-it notes and put it on your computer where you do your personal development in the morning, put it in your car, put it at your sink in your office or your desk or whatever. So you're always top of mind. And that's going to keep you even more crystal clear, because the people that hit February that don't accomplish their goals, I guarantee you, number one, they didn't write them down. And number two, they have no clarity, and they have no reminders of what that clarity is, even if they do have it. That makes sense? So Dr. Josh, what'd you get out of your clarity tool? We kind of talked through this whenever you came by us, but
right. Yeah. I think for me, it was hitting step number 3, why the goals are important, and really figuring out, being more vulnerable with myself. I found that the more vulnerable I've been with myself, the more vulnerable I'm able to be with the patient. And I think from there, the patient has been able to see exactly who I am, as opposed to just being like the doctor. They're seeing, I think they're starting to see my heart come through in who I am in the office, and really why I'm there. And I think that that's helping me find out my clarification as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's bringing more joy back to me to get into the office and to make that adjustment, to be more excited for that patient, as opposed to it being a transactional adjustment. And looking at, just being like, that's all I can do for you. There's so much more I can do for them.
Right. So what was, if you don't mind me, we're going to dig a little deeper because I really like this. What was that why? Like, what is that? What is it that you wrote down, if you don't mind sharing, that changed your perspective on what you're going to the office to do? It didn't have to be verbatim, just kind of.
Right. Sorry, I have it right here. I just moved to get to the page.
Sure.
Okay, so I put the goals are important for me because I wanted to I want to be the role model that my kid needs to see on a daily basis. I want to be the role model that my wife needs to see on a daily basis, and I want to be the role model that my staff needs to see and know why they're coming to the office.
Oh, dude, I love it. I love it. That sounds like mine, right? Because we're not only leading our patients, we're leading our family, we're leading our wife, we're leading ourselves. And
Right.
a lot of times we're that discipline, we lack that self-discipline to lead ourselves. So therefore it falls through the cracks with our family. I love that, man. Can I share a personal story since we got such a more intimate group today?
Yeah, go ahead.
So whenever we had Kinsley, she's 3.5 years old now. So before that, when I was waking up, I was just doing it for me, money. Somehow, whenever we got pregnant, my thought process, when I started just doing that self-reflection, like you just mentioned, because that's it just actually is really speaking to me right now. And that 3 months before she was born, I had like some epiphany moment in my head, that come to Jesus moment, whatever you want to call it, it happened. And and I was already doing okay as far as practice goes, but my sense of clarity and intention, oh my God. When I doubled the practice in a couple of weeks. I tripled the practice, over 50,000 in collections within like a few months, like just because I got so crystal clear, because I knew my daughter deserved that. And I didn't get a life that I had a great life. We grew up on a farm. We didn't have a lot, right? And so Christmas has always sucked for me because I got hand-me-downs or I got whatever it was. And I never had that new thing that your friends was getting or getting. And so that first Christmas, we had her in July. And then this is whenever everything started to kind of obviously steamroll. And then December, and she's a newborn, right? She didn't need all this stuff. But my God, I went out and spent like $500 on NC State clothes and NC State won, because I'm obviously an NC State fan. She's got an NC State basketball hoop in her. I mean, she's not going to use that thing for 3 years, but just that sense of joy. It was more for me, obviously. But I love that, man, because if we're not doing it for something bigger than ourselves, we're never going to get her done, right? Sorry, I had to share that. That's huge, man.
That's a good point. On a side note, Eddie, you better start saving up now for when they become teenagers.
Oh, we already got our account going, man. We started, so I'm going to throw this out there. If you got kids or you don't have kids, Chris Koopman that you saw at the GPS, highly encourage you to work with him. So we started a whole life account for Kinsley whenever she was born. And $5,000 a year you put in this thing, by the time she's 18, it'll be $150,000 almost in this account. So then she can start her own business. She can buy her own car. And then you can use it as a bank. So you're actually paying yourself interest on the loan you take out from that 150 grand. So it's a really cool model for kids. Put her through school, whatever she wants to do, but then they start become control of their finances at such an early age. And obviously as she gets older, we'll educate her on what that means. But it's a really, really cool thing there. So she's kind of got her own bank. I just got to do maybe like sign the note for the car or whatever. I'm making her pay for it. Is what I'm getting at.
No, I'm talking about Christmas, Dr. Hall.
Oh yeah. Well, Christmas, she can start paying for that sooner or later too. You know, you're not getting a free ride in my house, buddy.
That teenager stuff, man. Holy cow.
I know. So obviously, it's super cool to be able to do this a little bit more intimately. I like this a lot. Thanks for sharing. I love this stuff. Hopefully you guys, obviously, I don't have it all figured out. No one does. So we can learn a little bit from what each person's bringing to the table here, which is really cool. So the clarity tool, obviously it was a good exercise. It seemed like everybody got some benefit out of that. It was helpful in starting to set our goals. How's everybody doing with the goals? Everything's done. Cool. So if you could say, I know I don't have Brittany's yet. I got everybody else.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to send them. So
yeah,
sorry.
Please.
Okay.
And the reason that I want them is because half the point of mentoring and coaching is accountability.
Okay.
And so whenever we reach out after quarter one, and we'll do it individually, and I'll be like, hey, look, this is what we had on paper, where are we at, kind of thing. And then we just talk through, what went good, what went bad, where could we have done better. And maybe our goals, a lot of times when we first start setting goals, we set them down here because of fear of failure. And we don't want to set ourselves up for that, because if we're setting it up here and we hit it, great. But what if we set it up here and then we hit here? You're going to be a lot better off. So just set them so we can kind of modify as we get going. And then the accountability is a huge part of this puzzle. What I do want to touch on quick though is since we have about just over half of the group, I started going through some of the ones I've been sent, not only from you, but other people I work with. And I noticed that everybody's got goals, which is great. And Dr. Jared and I actually had this conversation yesterday, I believe, because he showed me his. What was the issue that we talked about?
When I didn't really have action steps for my goals. So when I started to write what I thought were action steps for my goals, I was writing just more goals. And so when you told me that yesterday, I was like, well, I guess what's an action? What do I need to write down for an action step? And then you're like, sell these 2 supplements, or, promote these 2 supplements every ROT. And then that kind of hit a little closer, I guess, than what I was writing down.
Right. And then a lot of people too, they've actually forgot. And I know it's basic math, but I'm not going to go through all these and do the math myself. So please do it for me and you. Is go through and find. So a lot of people did OVA, PVA, office visits, but that total collection number is a big deal. So just do the math quick. All it is OVA times patient visits for that month, and that'll give you your collection total. And then the collection total, because we want to write action steps, and Dr. Josh did a great job with that, putting action steps in each one of those areas. So patient visits, we want to improve 10% this quarter. Okay, great. How? Right? And if Dr. Josh, do you want to kind of play here?
Yeah.
So we want to increase patient visits by, I don't remember the exact number I got on my laptop, but 10%, let's say.
Right.
What were your action steps for the next quarter?
Patient visits were to, I'm trying to remember. I think part of it was ask for referrals. To on day 1 talk about getting their family checked, complimentary on me. The other was, I had 4. Well,
I mean, that's good for now. I mean, I just wanted people to get an idea of what that means, because I said it last time, but obviously each one of you guys' action steps are going to be different than what I mentioned last time.
Right.
So whenever we take and we need to make, so the goal is the goal, and instead of writing extra sub goals as your action steps, like Dr. Jared, I mean, no, I'm not pointing you out or calling you out, because I used to do the same thing, is make those actionable systems. Like every ROT, I'm going to go through and I'm going to recommend getting their family checked. I'm going to give them 2 cards and tell them, hey, you've had great results. Would you mind doing this? Or maybe write a Google review or whatever that is for you guys, to make sure that every ROT, we're doing the same exact thing, because then we can expect the same exact results. And as this starts to go, you'll be able to kind of call what your next quarter is going to look like, because now you have momentum from running these systems. It's a system game. Does that make sense? So we want to make this so cut and dry that it's just automatic. Every time we go to a ROT, we know exactly what the scripting is going to be. We know exactly what our asks are going to be. And then we're going to start to be able to calculate our goals a lot easier going into even the next quarter and the next quarter and next year. Cool. So let's just run through this real quick, because action steps were an issue. So OVA, we want to increase our OVA, whatever that number is. What would we do differently to increase the OVA? Simple things, system things.
So supplements, back-end office things, therapies.
Yeah. Right. So Dr. Corey, what'd you say?
Supplements.
Supplements. So has everybody started to use the supplement recommendations a little bit more? Yeah. And how's that going?
I think well.
Yeah.
Raised my OVA over the last month, so.
Well, that's that. We're hitting our goals then, right? So is there ever obstacles when we recommend these supplements to people? Are we having any kind of, they're not doing it on a regular basis, or is there any kind of issue we're seeing there? Feel free to come on. I'm not going to call everybody.
Sometimes I know there's an issue of money, but I've gotten to the point now where I think it's important just to put it out there, because I found that over time they come around.
Yeah.
And they start it, as long as you're consistent about it, keep reminding them, over time they start to think, oh, okay, I think this really would help me out.
And if you haven't already, that's a great point. And it's just kind of sparked this idea, because like in our office, we run a 20% off everything supplement wise for like a holiday special. So if money ever were an issue, this is a great time, because you should write it in their file or on their note of what you recommended initially. And then you double back, hey, Miss Jones, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we got 25% off this month because of the Christmas holiday, or whatever you want to say there. Just work a script and be like, I know you didn't get them initially because of finance, and now that you're being able to save a fourth of the cost, would this be a good time that we start them and start improving our health in these aspects? Boom. I mean, yesterday, I used that yesterday. That was my thing for yesterday. And I can't tell you what the number ended up being, but it was a big number that we sold yesterday. So it's these little strategies that make it systems. I hope if you learn anything from us, is systems always win, right? So what about overall collections? So OVA is obviously going to go with overall collections. So another thing for OVA, like Dr. Jared said, is get them committed to care initially, because we educate them day 1, day 2, day 3. They're going to feel better by day what? It's all variable, but sooner rather than later is what I'm getting at. So whenever they start feeling better, that's the time when they're going to make that decision. Hey, am I going to do this because doc educated me on the reason I need to strengthen and stabilize these areas to not prevent a relapse? Or am I going to take this left-hand turn and say, hey, I feel better because they only got the 10% of the message I needed to hear? And you're not going to convert everybody. Don't get me wrong. None of us will. But if we're starting to hit that a little bit better, so what system are we going to put in to make people commit to longer care? Are we going to do a financial plan covering 24, 36, 48 visits when they first start to make sure they get it, number one, but then they stick to it and they reach the goals? What else will we do with recalls maybe? Right? What has anybody been doing recalls, especially during COVID, right? I know our office has Dr. Josh, Dr. Brittany, have you guys been doing any recalls?
No.
So why not?
Well, like for me personally, I've only been seeing patients for 2 months, so I haven't really had, but like if patients have fallen off, I have called a couple of them just to check in. But in terms of like the office in general, we're just like not fully staffed for our front desk to like follow up on that type of stuff.
Sure. And this is the biggest leak in most practices. And this is not something we want to take for granted, because it's a whole lot easier to keep our original people coming back in and getting them well than it is to keep on trying to recruit new people. Mm-hmm. So even if you got to take the 5 minutes, if you got an extra minute since you're just getting going, and just make some calls for the doctors. Well, hey, Ms. Jones, hadn't seen you in here in a while, especially the ones you have rapport with already, because you did a lot of exams, I believe. Hey, Ms. Jones, haven't seen you in a while. I just want to check on you and see how you were doing. And just leave it at that. And you literally are just calling out of concern. I did that twice last week. A family of 3 I've taken care of like 5 years. Hadn't seen them, just not like them, every 2 weekers. Hey, Sarah, what's up? How's it going? What's going on? I haven't seen you guys in a while. I just want to make sure I was well. Oh, well, doc, we got COVID. We had to quarantine for 2.5 weeks, and then we just hadn't got around to making our appointment again. Can we do that now? Sure, let me connect you with the front. So then they just already, you're starting this cycle of getting those guys back active, because they're not in pain anymore. Right. They had to quarantine for 2 weeks, maybe a month. I had one guy, it was the weirdest situation ever. But then they kind of just lose, it's not top of mind anymore. And then when we reach out to them and say, hey, we really care, we miss you, we miss your smiling face, or whatever you say, they're more than likely going to get back in, so highly encourage you. Easiest way to get your visits up over the next year is to hit your call list before, or even first of the year. Put that as your goal in your action step. First of the year, I'm going to call everybody that was on regular care that hasn't been in for the last 3 months, 6 months. With COVID, geez, you can go back a year almost to March, because a lot of people got freaked out initially and didn't come into our practices because they were scared to death. And then maybe that's a good thing for you to say, hey, I was scared to come in because I didn't know exactly how you guys were doing with your COVID procedures, or I didn't feel safe, or whatever that may be. And then you can go ahead and kind of handle that objection over the phone. So just easy ways to really get these things trending in the right direction again for the new year. Let's see, what do we do? Patient visit average, OVA, collections. So what do you, since it's a small group, let's just have some fun, right? So what is the biggest action step? It doesn't have to, I don't care what category it falls in, that you guys feel the need that maybe we need to put a system in or we're going to work towards as January starts to roll too. Let's just start at the bottom. So Dr. Corey, let's start with you.
For me, it's supplement recommendations. Sometimes it's just easy to get into, you know, a path of doing the same thing over again and implementing. We sell supplements regularly, but it's not something that I learned early on. I learned more about later. So getting that system worked in more and more and more, and getting more comfortable with talking about and learning about all of our different supplements and how they can help with each unique situation, I think is going to be really important for me, anyways.
I love it. Let me offer this as a suggestion, because I sell a lot of supplements a month. And the reason I do that is because whenever I was getting going, I would take a supplement. So I'd go into your back office or wherever you guys house them. If they're online, go in your online shop and just pick one and research it and write a blog about it. So whenever you read about it, it's not all going to sink in. But when you start typing about it, when you start writing about it, it's actually going to start rewiring to your subconscious mind. So when somebody comes in and they got this and this and this, and you're treating them for chiropractic, and that's obviously the biggest part of this puzzle, but you know they could be helped a little quicker using that. You already know so much about it. You're the expert now. And then if you don't have the time to talk with them, if you're busy, be like, hey, Ms. Jones, I wrote a blog on that a couple months ago. Take a look at it. And we'll talk about it next time. And so then they initiate, hey, you told me about that Boswellia last time. I read about it. I think I'm ready to try it. So you see how you can make a system. So I would highly encourage all of you guys, take a supplement a month, write a blog about it, maybe write even a white paper on it, and start handing it out in the office that's your supplement of the week or the month. Just start handing it out to everybody so they start to educate themselves on it. And then when they have questions, you already know even more about it, and you can kind of crush through that, right? It's very, very, very helpful. What about you, Dr. Jared?
I think my biggest thing that I've kind of realized here in the last week or so that I've really fallen off of during my initials, and then if my ROTs and into my financials, is I've just kind of looked over asking them to bring their spouse with them. For some reason, I don't really know where that fell off, because I always did it when I started, but then apparently one day I just stopped asking them to bring their spouse. And so that, as far as getting more people in the door, and then I need to get better at asking for referrals, just making it doesn't matter if it's comfortable for me or not, but it should just be part of a general conversation.
Well, and you got to systematize that, right?
Right.
You sense a theme from today. To reach these goals, we need to make systems, because if we do it, if we left to our own devices, we're never going to get it done. So maybe the referral thing is, anytime you hear that positive feedback thing, whatever they say, oh, doc, I hadn't had a headache in 3 weeks. I used to have them every day. Oh my God, that's awesome. And then that's when you ask for the referral or whatever. I mean, I like doing that to ROTs because you're already you got more time with them too. And you sit down and you're like, look, Ms. Jones, how you doing with this, this, and this? And guys, this is the only time I bring pain back up. And I tell them initially at the report, hey, look, we're not going to talk about pain throughout this acute care phase, because I know if I get your body performing better, that's going to get less. What we are going to do is we're going to touch on that when we do your report and start collecting objective data again. Is that okay? Yes, doc. I've never had anybody say no. And so then you just bypasses this pain conversation. So now you're already rewiring their subconscious for a paradigm shift. And then when you hit them at ROT and we start talking about pain again, then you can say, hey, Ms. Jones, now how you been doing with that, that, and that? Oh, well, doc, I forgot all about that. Oh, it's crazy how that works. And then that's where you plug your referral in. Do you know anybody else that's suffering with this and this? Do you think there's anybody else in our community who would be able to help with this and this? Yeah, well, would you mind maybe writing a Google review, and here's a couple cards. Send somebody in that you know that we could help. Where it's just super genuine, but they already understand that we're getting away from pain, but now we're maximizing function.
Yeah, I never even thought about that too. I know I've got cards sitting out on like my sink and stuff, but having a couple in the room might kind of, spur me to, give them a card and, who else can you help?
When I first got started, so I had this, it was like 1,500 cards or something they had made for me, right? And I'm sitting here looking at these cards and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with all these cards? So I pick a day a week. I don't do this anymore. I probably need to get back to it actually. But I used to pick a day a week where every patient would leave my office with 2 cards. I don't know if they threw them in the trash or what they did with them, but everybody's getting 2 cards. But I scripted it, kind of like what I just said with the RLT. I would do that day 4, day 5, whatever. Even at the report sometimes. Your health is valuable or whatever. I can't remember my exact script for that one because I don't use it anymore. I can find it, but basically saying, hey, look, I'm so grateful that you're in here and we're going to work as a team to get you healthier. If there's anybody else throughout the course of your care you think can benefit from chiropractic care, here's 2 cards. Please send them in and let's see what kind of impact we can make. Just so you literally just start making this a day a week. The easiest way to get people thinking and bringing you top of mind is give them these cards. Because one day they may look at it. You ever look at a card in your cup holder that you forgot you had? And you start thinking about that person and then their services. And then you start seeing into your life, well, maybe I could use that right now. Maybe I do need to get my car detailed, or maybe, whatever that is. So it's a cool one. So what about, let's go, Dr. Brittany. Biggest thing we're going to change.
More just like, I guess, working on what I'm growing right now. At the moment, I have a lot of patients that are either like finishing up like their first, like their plan, or like kind of halfway through. So a lot of people are more transitioning to like maintenance. So trying to like perfect that in terms of telling patients what to do, because strangely enough, most of the patients are like, will you just tell me what I should do and then I'll do it. And that doesn't, I feel like that hasn't happened to me a lot. So I'm like, okay, I guess these people like trust me. So I have to like figure out a good way, like the best way for them to feel like, I'm going to continue to help them type thing. So
whenever you transition to maintenance, what are you usually doing for a maintenance schedule? Do you have?
So what I've been telling people is, we're going to schedule another appointment between 2 and 4 weeks. And then number 1, if you feel like you don't need it, you can just cancel it, but at least it's on the schedule so that it keeps you like, I don't know, on the schedule. And then otherwise, once they come in, if that's like good enough, then we know that that's their like, we'll keep seeing what if 4 weeks was enough, then let's just keep it on 4 weeks. And then I tell them like if something comes up in the meantime, come in sooner. And I just like encourage that if they keep up with maintenance, then they won't have to go through, I don't know, I guess like the longer treatment.
Look, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I barely know you, but I see yourself shooting yourself in the foot right now.
Okay.
So how often are you getting adjusted right now yourself?
A few times a week.
3 times a week?
A few times, yeah.
Okay. So
at least once.
And what if your mom was coming to you, how often would you say she needed maintenance care?
Most people I tell for maintenance to come monthly, honestly, unless they have like I get adjusted once a week because of my job. So I guess it depends. Like I have a lot of like firemen and police. So like the fireman, that's the one who was like, will you tell me what to do? Because I want to keep this up. I'm feeling good. So like for him, I might not be like, oh, come back in.
And then whenever you so I'm not trying to challenge you like too hard. I want to push you too hard, but I want you to start thinking a little differently maybe, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you say, hey, we've been talking about health and we want to keep you feeling good, but I'm going to say we put a visit in 2 to 4 weeks, but if you feel like you don't need it, don't come in. What are we doing there? You're kind of reaffirming that we're basing this on pain. Mm-hmm. With me? So if we're truly basing this on function over pain, which we hopefully should be because we know how important it is, especially if you're getting adjusted once or twice a week for your job, think about how much stress and strain, not even just physically a fireman has to go through, but mentally as well, right? So that's going to create a subluxation pattern. So I would challenge you to not make it based on pain. If you need it or not, I would challenge you to say, hey, look, if we want to keep this optimally function and keep you from going on a backwards journey or decreasing risk of injury or promoting your immune system or whatever that person needs to hear, I would say, hey, let's keep you at twice a week for a while, just to make sure that we keep everything that we've got and we don't take any backslide. And if we get in a couple weeks and we get down this road a couple months and it looks like you're not holding your adjustments very well, I may increase that to every week. But if you're doing great and I think your body's going to be able to hold for that extra week, let's start to drip it to 3. So you kind of, number one, your PVA is going to go up. Number two, the patient really needs that. If you firmly believe that, because I just didn't know how you practice or what you believed in, because I don't know you that well. But if you're getting adjusted weekly or twice a week, you obviously value health and the power of the adjustment and keeping the body in alignment. So why is that less for our patients is what I'm getting at. You know, because if we're willing to do that ourselves and we would really want to value our health and their health up here, I think we need to at least give them the recommendation that we give ourselves. That makes sense.
I think part of it too is if you're recommending 2 to 4 weeks and telling them, you know, if you're still feeling all right, you don't need to come in, then you're allowing the patient to dictate their own care. When you're the doctor, you went to 8 years of school or however many years of school to do this, you know that they should be getting it adjusted at least once a month. So I think you need to be more the kind of authority in that situation. You know what they need, just tell them what they need. And
absolutely. And get out of the room. If he already trusts you, likes you, it's not going to be a debate because he's already chosen to get maintenance care. He just doesn't know what that means.
Right.
Or what does that look like? Just imagine brain function, right? I just looked at some studies on brain function and chiropractic care the other day. When you have a misalignment of the spine, it's biomechanically not sound. So then a proprioception literally can't get from their spine to their brain. They're going to be subluxated in 3 days. So then we start altering brain function at 3 days. How long do we really want that to happen for the patient and just overall health, you know? So it's just kind of like we got to leverage like how we believe, because I'm not trying to put my beliefs or my values onto you, but maybe just open your eyes to a different way of communicating that. Exactly. I just don't want you to feel like I'm attacking you because I know I'm kind of loud and I'm kind of aggressive.
I don't feel like one.
This is really just coming from my heart, so I just care. Okay.
Good question. Just one thing too, I think that helps us solidify some of those recommendations is having the clarity and the certainty that we maybe have read that. Like if you have that information of saying like, look, after 3 days, we know that research is showing that disconnect from the spine to the brain is happening. That might give an individual more confidence in recommending here at least a week you should be checked every week. Or other studies that have shown like in 10 to 14 days, if there's a misalignment or subluxation, that begins the degeneration process. This is why I recommend you getting checked no longer than 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So, you know, whether or not you're feeling pain, this is the process. And we've talked about that with you've shown people, I mean, you guys, I don't know if you have it, Brittany, but I know, you know, Eddie's office has it too, is that the feeling versus function picture, right? Where it's got the motor, it's got the autonomic, and it's got the sensory portion of the nerve. And so you can talk about that as well too into that. But I think if there are research studies that any of you guys have that give you more confidence in making that recommendation, I think, you know, if we can share that, I think that'll give not only Brittany that more confidence as to why she's making that weekly recommendation or at minimum 2 weeks, because now she knows that that's what the study shows.
And two, whenever you get to that point of that conversation, whenever maybe you got another objective data collection thing you do before you put them on the maintenance, I hope you do. As you go through that, you're like, look, you've been here twice a week now for 12 visits or whatever it is, right? Has there ever been a time, Ms. Jones, where you've laid on my table and we didn't have to make a correction to your spine to influence your nervous system? No. Well, I mean, maybe you do in your practice, but I don't, right? So if we can go on a Monday and Thursday and you need to be adjusted because we have misalignments on Monday and Thursday, how long do you really think that we should go before we start to see decreased function or pain or another symptom? And they're going to say, well, doc, do I need to still come in twice a week? Well, no, great news is I think we can push it to once a week now and maintain everything we've gotten, and then keep the momentum going forward to continue to improve your spinal health. You see, so now you're really reframing them to say, hey, I've been here twice a week. I've had to get adjusted twice a week for 12 visits. My spine's not stable enough or holding long enough to go 2 to 4 weeks. You know, so now we're really basing on functioning. I just think we need to get, you know, a little bit, you know, I'm not trying to tell you how to practice, but a little bit away from, if you're really into the function aspect of chiropractic, get away from even bringing that P word up in the room, or problem or pain, or when you know, just try to transition that a little bit. And I think you're going to see all your numbers shoot up, and it's more fun. Like yesterday, what I see, 50 something, and then I bet you 3/4 of them were maintenance patients. Those are fun. They want to be there. They want to stay well. I love those guys, you know? And then I check my book for Wednesday when I'm back in the office, and almost all of those are maintenance patients, which is, it just brings you more joy because they're coming in because they want to be there, not because their back hurts or because they're having headaches. I see a lot of nodding heads, so everybody's in agreement with what I'm saying here. Just a lot more joy for you as a practitioner. But then you're really making an impact on the health and longevity of these people too. And it's just powerful. I think the verbiage needs to change a little bit for you to maximize that. I'm glad we had this conversation though, because this is a sticking point that we should have went through when we went through the ROT2 stuff. And obviously we didn't really hit that too much. That makes sense? Does it help? Okay. All right. So who do we miss? We got everybody, right? Cool. So as I said, write all your goals down. So we got like 10 minutes. So what I was going to do, I'm glad we went through all this stuff today. I think did anybody get some value out of this? Yeah, I think this is a really good call. I like the smaller groups personally, just because we can get a little bit more in the weeds with each other about what's going on personally. So I was going to start financials today because obviously I love it. Dr. Jared was there like, what was that, 2 Mondays ago? It was like $15,000 a day. It's a pretty big day. I love this part because we're selling them health. We're not selling them, you know, anything. It's just so powerful for me personally. And I get in the room and I was pumped up. I'm like, just close this. It's not about the money to me anymore. It's about literally, I know these people are going to get better and stay better now. They've committed to chiropractic and they committed to their health. It just gets me jacked up, as you can see, probably. So instead of, we can start this stuff today, but instead of doing this, I'd rather, because we only got a handful of minutes left. What kind of obstacles? Let's go through, like, I think this has been very powerful talking through a few of these things. Does anybody else having any obstacles? Running any objections? Is there anything else that we can cover in these last few minutes instead of digging into financials? Because financials is a long kind of journey. Anything else at all? Everything is going so smooth, we can't hardly stand it, right? Yeah?
Well, I had an interesting case walk in the office last week, if you want to hear about that.
Well, I can't wait to hear it now, Corey.
Had a mother bring her 14-year-old son in, who she'd taken to their primary care physician for like testicular itching. And he had referred out to a dermatologist, and so they went to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist could not find anything wrong. And what he did shocked the hell out of me, because he referred to a chiropractor for x-rays of the lumbar spine.
Why is that shocking?
Do what?
Why is that shocking?
I just referred to a chiropractor and for lumbar x-rays, because I feel like a lot of specialists lose track because they only think of one thing. Think of a podiatrist, they can't think above the ankle. A lot of them, good podiatrists know there's other issues that cause foot pain, but it was just really surprising to me that a dermatologist that would recommend out for x-rays for something like that, because it's definitely a neurological. Do what?
Did you contact the referring doctor?
I have not yet. I need to. I
So
need to
anytime
call.
you get, oh my God, it's only gonna breed more referrals, and those are great referrals. So I got MDs that refer in, like those are the best referrals. My doctor sent me here. My primary sent me here for this and this. It doesn't get any better. So what I always do, if somebody sends somebody in that I haven't met or I don't know them personally, I reach out to them and say, hey, doctor, so-and-so, really appreciate the referral. I got patient so-and-so in. This is what we did for an exam. This is what I found. This is what we're going to do to see if we can correct and help whatever that problem is. And I'm going to keep you in the loop on what's going on. And I would fax them over the initial documentation. Well, if your notes are good. If they're shit, don't fax it. No, I'm being serious, because that's going to make us look crazy. So as long as the notes are really, really legitimate and they look really professional, send it over. Or even write a little quick, like you're doing an auto or PI, write like a quick consult deal, and then maybe a small ROT at the bottom showing the doctor what you found, and then you'll update them at the re-exam or whatnot. But if you don't think you can help, you need to refer them back out.
Right.
Because nothing's going to make you look worse than knowing that you haven't really found an issue and you're going to treat them anyway. They're never going to send anybody else in.
His mother is very information hungry. So if we're not seeing results, then we need to, I would probably recommend an MRI.
Well, but you need to make sure your objective data collection is like crystal clear, because they may not feel results, but if we can objectively tell the patient this is what we're improving, or then if you get to the re-exam and it's not objectively improving, then you say, hey, do the MRI or whatever it is. But if it's objectively improving and subjectively usually comes with objective, then you're obviously on the right track. This is a great opportunity for you. As you can tell, I got pretty excited. This is a great opportunity, man.
I've never had anything like that walk into the office in my 2 years. So
take advantage of it. But seriously, this is going to, if you can do this right, this could change your whole trajectory of your practice, because that referring MD, is they're going to tell their other medical friends, hey, I got this great chiropractor. He's doing some great stuff with the patients I refer in. I highly recommend him. And you're going to start getting OBs to send in to you, neurologists. And I mean, it's a huge opportunity, man. So if you ever need any help or want me to talk through something with you, please, because these are my favorites. I have a pediatrician right now. She sends me all of her ear infection patients because I helped 3 of her children with ear infections. So, and those are the best referrals. And then she still comes in every 2 weeks with her family of 4, a pediatrician. That's pretty cool, So anyways, that's really cool, man. Cool story. But I think honestly too, more and more medical providers are understanding the benefit of health. How do you lose it? They might not get their whole head around quite yet as far as subluxation, all that good stuff like that. But majority of them are understanding that health comes from the inside out and not the outside in, because they've seen how medicine has failed over and over and over again, that, hey, maybe I need to try something new. That's so cool, man. Congratulations.
I am curious though, did the x-rays show anything?
Yeah. So he's severely stuck into extension. We did like flexion and extension, lateral lumbars. His L1, L2 joint space is decreased. It actually decreases in extension, believe it or not. And his L5, S1 is also like way shorter than the rest of his other disc spaces. So it's interesting for sure.
Well, those are the nerves that go to that area. So
absolutely. That's what I told her. I was like, in my opinion, this is what's going on. And if we get these areas moving and communicating with the rest of the body, then these symptoms should resolve.
Did he have any blood work he brought in?
No, they didn't.
Did the dermatologist do any blood work?
I don't believe so.
Ask. Because a lot of times, especially at that age, there's going to be a zinc deficiency if they're having itching of the skin. Because whatever shows up deficient in the gut is going to show up on the skin. So it may not be a rash, but the itching is going to be usually a byproduct of that too. So see if she has any bloods. They usually don't run a trace mineral panel, and you can do one for cheap. Like say you get a couple weeks down the road, no improvement. It may be some snippet in the gut that you need to look at. So then you can see if it's a zinc or whatever that may be. Even vitamin D obviously controls the gut lining of the junctions of the gut. So sometimes that'll cause obviously some itching and stuff. But anyways, we're getting into the weeds here. Sorry. You got my head going now. But cool stuff. All right, everybody. So please, if you haven't gotten your goals over, I think everybody has here for the most part, get them over. Let's really crunch the numbers, get your action steps in place, and let's really start using this momentum of these last 2 weeks to set ourselves up for a hell of a 2021, right? Best one ever. No matter what coronavirus, no matter what other virus shows up this year, we're going to still have that upward trajectory and crush all our goals, right? Hi, little one. Hi. What a cutie. He must look like mama.
For sure.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you in a couple weeks, okay?
All right. See you guys.
Be well.